Hey, good evening, everyone. It's a Taboo Talk Tuesday. We are going to be discussing PCOS, so polycystic ovarian syndrome. Sorry. Um, if anyone is currently experiencing some power outages here in Texas, that's where I'm currently based now in Houston. And so we have had a crazy ice and snowstorm, powers out all across. So I hope everyone is safe if you are in that situation right now. But if you're here joining live, hi, we're going to be talking about all things polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS. So yeah, I've got some great questions tonight, and we're really going to dive deep into polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS. This is something really misunderstood, and there's a lot of information out there about it, and it's commonly misdiagnosed a lot of times. So maybe you're watching this, you have PCOS, and you're feeling a bit confused about how to navigate this diagnosis. You're not really getting the information that you like to get. You're being told this from someone, you're being told this from someone else, and you're like, what should I be doing if I have PCOS? What does this mean for me if I have PCOS? Does it mean I'll never be able to have kids? That's a myth. So we'll just nip that in the bud right now. No. Um, you can definitely have children. PCOS is the easiest fertility challenge to treat and to put the symptoms into remission. I personally have PCOS, and I have been symptom free for 5+ years now. So ovulating like clockwork, having healthy periods. And doctors told me for years that that would be impossible, and that when I was ready to have kids, I'd need to come to them for intervention. So, um, you know, just had my fertility panel markup and everything. Everything's great. Just ran my Dutch hormone test. Everything is perfect. If you were looking at me, you wouldn't even diagnose me with PCOS because I've put it into remission. So, today we're going to dive into what PCOS is, the four different types of PCOS, sorry, can't talk today. um, how one is diagnosed, what doctors are looking for when they diagnose you. And then we're also going to be talking about the common allopathic, you know, uh, the allopathic method, like conventional medicine method to fix PCOS. And we're going to be talking about holistic modalities as well. And then we're going to dive into nutrition, some of the best foods. So if that sounds like something that is of interest with you, I hope you stay around for the journey, because we're going to get into some pretty cool PCOS facts. So if you're ready, let's go. First of all, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's a very misleading name because it implies that all women with PCOS have polycystic ovaries, which is not true. It's not true. That's a myth. So they're actually not even cysts. So women with PCOS, sometimes they have like a pearl-like cysts around their ovaries, right? And those are shown on an ultrasound, okay? They're actually not cysts. They're underdeveloped follicles, okay? And these follicles are all growing to release an egg, but they never do. So they're all actually in large follicles that never make it to ovulation. They're not cysts at all. And fun fact, not all women with PCOS have polycystic ovaries, and not all women with polycystic ovaries have PCOS. Did you know that? Mind blown, right? So you could actually go to a doctor and have an ultrasound, and polycystic ovaries can show up, and you might not have PCOS. So I hope that they're diving into other markers, which usually they do. They're going to do blood work, and we'll dive into that a little bit later on in the talk. So PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, is really a metabolic syndrome. Okay. It's really more of a metabolic syndrome that's affecting your metabolism. And there's four different types of PCOS. There is insulin resistance PCOS. Okay. And this is the most common. We have inflammatory PCOS. We have adrenal PCOS, and we have post-pill PCOS, okay? Those are the four different types of PCOS. Now, it's very important to know that PCOS cannot be cured. It's something that's always genetically, like it's genetic. There's a huge genetic component to it, but it's not something that could be cured forever. You can put your symptoms into remission and be asymptomatic, but if you, go back to your old ways, it's not supporting PCOS, those symptoms can come back. Does that make sense? The only time that it can be cured is in post-pill PCOS, because post-pill PCOS, we'll dive into that one first, happens when a woman gets off the hormonal birth control pill and then she can have this PCOS-like symptoms, okay? And the symptoms of PCOS are like anxiety, they can be weight gain. And remember, not all women with PCOS will look alike. So my symptoms could be completely different from your symptoms or your sister's symptoms. Okay, a syndrome, polycystic ovarian syndrome, means that there's a syndrome, a lot of different, an umbrella of symptoms that can come along with that. So, cystic acne, hair loss, mood swings, anxiety, and ovulatory cycles, infertility. These are all some of the symptoms. And it doesn't mean you have to have all of them. Okay, so we have post pill PCOS, and this happens when someone presents symptoms of PCOS after coming off the birth control pill. And this one can, if they don't have a history of PCOS and it's not in their genes, and they can pretty much fix this and cure this and not have it later down the line. Okay. And if you have inflammatory PCOS, that means that the PCOS symptoms are happening because of inflammation in the body, systemic inflammation in the body, which a lot of PCOS women have, lots of inflammation. Insulin resistance is when our blood sugar is dysregulated, we're making too much insulin, and our cells are not receiving the glucose into our cells because they're becoming insulin resistant to that. Okay, and that's the most common. And when we have insulin resistance, it causes our body to make more androgens. So we make more testosterone, and it tells our ovaries to not ovulate. It shuts off the whole process by raising our luteinizing hormone, and it shuts off the whole process, okay? And then we have adrenal PCOS, and this is when our stress hormones are really high. So adrenal PCOS, typically, a lot of times the women are not overweight. So this is sometimes they're misdiagnosed by their doctors because all doctors tend to think that women with PCOS are overweight, which is not true. That's another PCOS myth, okay? And so in women with adrenal PCOS, their DHEA is very high and their cortisol levels are really high. So these are all the different types of PCOS. And from anecdotal experience and working with lots of patients with PCOS, I see women that tick the boxes for more than just one, right? They might be insulin resistant and they have inflammation. So by treating their insulin resistance and regulating their blood sugar and then lowering inflammation in the body, we're able to put their symptoms completely into remission. Okay, some have adrenal and inflammatory PCOS, right? So it's not, doesn't have to just be all one, if that makes sense. Okay, so now we know what PCOS is. It's a syndrome. It has an umbrella of symptoms. They exhibit differently in every single woman with PCOS. There are 4 different types of PCOS, and you now know that. And so what do we do? Like, how do we even get a diagnosis for PCOS? So what are we looking for? So what we're looking for, there's 2 criteria, and just for sake of simplicity, I'm going to go into the Androgen Excess Society's criteria because it's the most conservative and it's the one I like to go by. And we're looking for anovulatory cycles, right, from irregular ovulation. Okay, so if a woman exhibits irregular cycle, she needs to have all 3 of these that I'm listing below. Okay, so number 1 is irregular cycles. Okay. And the second one is hyperandrogenism, right? So elevated androgens, whether biochemical, so on a hormone test, or in physical symptoms. So high androgens are testosterone and DHEA. And then the symptoms of high androgen would be male pattern hair loss, cystic acne, insulin resistance, weight gain, and ovulation. Okay, hair where you don't want it. Okay, so we get hair loss where we want hair, and we get hair growth where we don't want it. So it's kind of like a screw you, right? Okay, so those are in the androgen excess. We need to have all 3 of those. Okay, and the third one is exclusion of other conditions that can mimic PCOS. So that's like hypothyroidism, pituitary diseases can cause PCOS-like symptoms, medications, and high prolactin. Okay, so we need to rule out all of those. So you need to have all of those 3 criteria in order to get diagnosed with PCOS, okay? So just really quick, why is that important? Well, because if you're not going through all 3 of those criteria, someone with hypothalamic amenorrhea, HA, could be misdiagnosed with PCOS, okay? Because if you don't have all 3 of those, So there's another criteria, the Rotterdam criteria, okay? And in the Rotterdam criteria to be diagnosed, you only have to have two, and that is irregular cycles, clinical or biochemical hyperandrogenism, and polycystic ovaries, okay? So if you only have two out of three of those, let's say, for example, you have polycystic ovaries and irregular ovulation, someone can be diagnosed with PCOS if you're using the Rotterdam criteria. Someone who only has polycystic ovaries and someone who has irregular ovulation, only those two can be diagnosed with PCOS. But that's a huge mistake because that could also be hypothalamic amenorrhea, HA, right? So you would need to look for androgens because people with HA don't have high androgens. Okay, they have low sex hormones. So that's why I think it's really important to use the androgen excess society criteria. Okay, so gonna stop geeking out about that. Just one little note. What about teens? Okay, so maybe you were diagnosed with PCOS when you were a teenager. That's highly possible. Maybe you're a mother watching this who has a daughter who's just been diagnosed with PCOS. Okay, so here's the deal. In the first few years, 2, 3 years of cycling, when we first start menstruation, it is very, very common to have PCOS like symptoms. It's very common to get polycystic ovaries. It's very common to get irregular cycles. It's very common to have insulin resistance during puberty. So that's why most doctors don't, or they should not diagnose a teenager with polycystic ovarian syndrome. Okay, they need to really wait till they've been cycling for a while because it's really, really difficult to diagnose a teenager with PCOS. All right. So now we know all about PCOS, the symptoms, we know the 4 types. Now let's dive into your options. Okay. So if you're going to an OB-GYN, you're going to a doctor, most likely they're going to give you the hormonal birth control pill. Okay. And they're going to tell you this fixes your PCOS. This is going to regulate your period. First of all, it's not going to regulate your period. It's going to shut off your period. Second of all, it's not going to fix your PCOS. It's just going to make it worse when you do decide to address your PCOS and get to the root cause of the problem. Because a birth control pill will just silence all the symptoms and make you think that it's regulated your cycle and make you think that everything's okay. It's going to take away your acne and you're just going to be like, yes, everything is groovy. And then what happens 5, 8 years later when you want to get off the birth control pill to maybe start a family or, for other reasons, wow. It's just going to be there with a vengeance because it's been suppressed for a very long time. Because guess what? The pill exacerbates PCOS root causes. The pill, we have numerous amounts of research studies that show that the birth control pill increases insulin resistance when women with PCOS already have an issue with insulin resistance. Okay, the pill is a serious nutrient deficient drug. It creates nutrient deficiencies in the body, which can lead to more problems down the line. Okay, the pill disrupts the microbiome and can lead to leaky gut, which causes more inflammation in the body. And a lot of women already have too much inflammation as it is. Okay, also, the pill can lead to depression and anxiety, and women with PCOS already have a lot of PCOS and anxiety. So to me, it just feels like you're just adding fuel to the fire if you're taking hormonal birth control to fix PCOS. You're just going to make it worse. Okay, so then if you're going to a more savvy doctor, they might not put you on the pill. They might give you metformin, which is it helps with insulin resistance. Okay, hopefully they're giving you a fasting glucose test before they give you metformin. I see it all the time and they don't. But hopefully they are. And if you're given metformin, okay, that's kind of getting closer to the root cause. Okay, but here's the deal. Metformin depletes B vitamins and it causes significant GI upset. When instead of maybe taking a pill to get rid of getting the insulin resistance, why don't we focus more on the diet and eating more of a low glycemic diet to balance blood sugar? In my opinion, in my opinion, for myself and with hundreds of patients, diet is a number one. And when I say diet, I don't mean cutting out food groups. I don't mean depriving yourself. I mean eating good quality food and more of it, and just tweaking your choices of food to support PCOS. And diet is the most important factor that we're all overlooking. Metformin to me is not root cause care. It is just kind of artificially fixing the problem when we can just focus on food instead of this pill that causes these side effects. Okay, and a third one that is not used very often is ovarian drilling. It's a surgery that's can cause scarring, and it's it's, if you're fixing the root cause anyway, if you're delving into your detox pathways, your nutrients, your diet, you're not going to have to get any of that, okay? All right. So holistic remedies for PCOS. And this is what I use with the women in my root cause program. We look at balancing their blood sugar through optimizing their nutrition, right, to their individual bodies to support their body types, right? So we know women with PCOS, they thrive off a lower glycemic diet. That doesn't mean throw carbs out off the table. No, carbs are great. We need carbs, but it's focusing more on complex carbs, which means that they have the fat, the fiber that slows down that sugar absorption. Okay, they're the brakes for your food. And we focus on, instead of white bread, we focus on whole grain bread, or instead of pasta, we focus on chickpea pasta, or we focus for carbs sweet potatoes, rice, quinoa. Okay, they have a lot of fiber in them. Healthy weight loss. So yeah, health. This is a way to have healthy weight loss, but weight loss is not the only thing that's going to get rid of your PCOS. So if your doctor just told you to, hey, lose some weight and that will get rid of your PCOS, find another doctor, because that's, first of all, patronizing. Okay, it's not just about weight loss, but weight loss surely does help. Okay, but not with crash diets, not at all. So exercise, moving the bodies. We know exercise resensitizes cells to insulin, especially leg exercises such as squats and lunges. Women with PCOS tend to have, elevated stress hormones a lot of the time, or thyroid issues. So really, like, not doing intense cardio all the time, or spin classes. Those are okay every once in a while, but we really respond better to like kettlebell strength training workouts, slow paced, not like some hits, but not hits all the time. Cycle sync that, okay? And if you don't, cycle syncing is when we, based on our each phase of our menstrual cycle, our hormones are ebbing and flowing, and we choose a workout for each phase to support our hormones where we are. Okay, I will go in a live on that more in depth in future. Okay, and if you go back on this page, I do have one on cycle syncing. Okay, so acupuncture also is really great for PCOS, lowers inflammation, helps stimulate blood flows to ovaries. I like castor oil packs. That's also a really great tool. Stress reduction, huge. Sleep, proper sleep, breathing, yoga, meditation, journaling, prayer, gratitude. Okay. So really training the autonomic nervous system to default to that parasympathetic rest and relax. Okay. And that's super important. So as you can see in these holistic modalities, I don't mention the birth control pill. I don't mention metformin. It really is, PCOS, in my expert opinion, is mostly about what we eat and how we live our lives, okay? Because remember, our genes are not our destiny. We control our environment. Therefore, we control our genes. And I'm living proof. And the more than 200 clients of mine are living proof too, that have reversed their PCOS. So some of my top favorite PCOS supplements that are really great, magnesium, it improves insulin sensitivity, it reduces anxiety. I really like Ovicitol. It's a 41 blend of myo-inositol and D-chiroinositol, and it helps improve insulin sensitivity. Zinc is excellent because it nourishes ovarian follicles. Fish oil, because it reduces inflammatory prostaglandins. Probiotics are also excellent. And curcumin because it's reducing inflammation. So these are all really, really great supplements. But remember to, it's not just about the supplements, right? We can't out supplement a bad diet. We can't out supplement a bad lifestyle. And just really just knowing that this diagnosis, if it's a new diagnosis for you and you're feeling overwhelmed, just take a deep breath, girl. You've got this. It really is not a life sentence. It doesn't have to be. You can be a PCOS thriver. You can have a family if you want. It is very, very, PCOS is the easiest thing to fix and thrive with. You just have to know your body. And that's why in my root cause program, I run the right diagnostic testing to get to the root cause of your PCOS, and we put your symptoms into remission. And I've got really awesome news. I am offering one scholarship for 2021. So this is the only time I'm working one-on-one with clients this year is this spring. Okay, I'm doing one enrollment. I'm accepting 30 clients into my root cause program. It is a one-on-one program, but one of those spots I'm giving away as a scholarship. Okay, So stay tuned for details because tomorrow I'm going to be releasing the application for that scholarship. And if you'd like to apply, or if you know one who would like to apply to receive the scholarship to work with me in my root cause program, then I hope you share that with them because it is a transformational program. And if you're a woman looking to get results and finally have an answer to the symptoms that are plaguing you, then the root cause program is definitely for you. All right, so it was awesome. Oh, I forgot. I have one more question. Is a vegetarian diet good for PCOS? In my opinion, no. Vegetarian diets tend to be very carb heavy and they don't give us the crucial minerals that women with PCOS need. So they tend to leave us a little bit mineral deficient. They don't give us enough protein and they're too carb heavy. So they exacerbate the insulin resistance. I'm not saying it can't be done, but in my opinion, it is not the ideal diet for women with PCOS. Plant-based, great. The more plants, the better. I think we can agree on that. But I do find that women with PCOS thrive by adding a little bit of animal protein into their diets. All right, so it was so great talking to y'all tonight. Wherever you are, stay warm, stay safe, and look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.